Um, okay.
Here comes Ayush.
I got a kid at home, so I might have to.
He's coming.
Medical emergency. It's been crazy.
Okay. Are we on? I guess we can start the meeting then. Roll call? Don't know who to address over there for that.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Cavazos, Cabrera, Wosick,
Here?
Lorson,
Here.
Schneider,
Here.
Corral.
Here.
Okay. We'll go to Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, moving on to minute approvals. We got two sets of minutes. We'll address the first one, the regular board meeting of January.
Mr. Chairman, last month I had asked the clerk to review 2 points made during the discussion. I sent her the timestamps I had asked her to look at, and she included those in red text on packet page 3.1, or packet page 4. So
And
I'm okay.
And 5.
Thank you for taking the extra time to consider that.
Okay, does anybody have any comments on the edits or any of the other minutes within there? Okay, we'll put it up for a vote then. All in favor of approving January board meeting minutes, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll go on to the February 27th work session.
I'm sorry? I'm fine. I move to approve the work session minutes of February 27th, 2019.
Okay, you got a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion required? Okay, let's put it up for vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We'll move on to citizens' time at this point. Is there anybody out in the audience who wants to contribute any information to or give the ARB feedback for anything that is outside of the COAs that will be addressed tonight? Okay. On to new business. We'll start with the first agenda item under new business, the street tree recommendations.
So, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
No, our mics weren't working Monday night. Good. So I've included in here a memo, at the request of mayor and council, I would like to discuss the streetscape trees along Washington Street. A good number of our trees that were planted with the beautification project, the hawthorn trees have fallen, they've died, had to be removed. A lot of them are windblown and leaning very badly, so they're just in poor condition. This is very bad for the trees and ultimately kind of leaves us at a liability if they were to fall on the road or on the sidewalk, mess up the sidewalks, or get taken by the wind. So we're looking at replacing these trees. We have counted roughly 24 to 28 of them, and it's pretty much starting here on the town property, and it's going to be working east towards the QBE building. We will not be planting any on the QBE property. We'll just be working down along the sidewalk sections that currently have street trees planted, or where the ones that have been removed are still, you can still see where the mulch was. So the suggestion was that we consider planting crepe myrtles. It would be the red rocket variety, so it's a reddish hint of pink, but mainly red color. And we would be looking at getting between the 3 and 5 trunks, and it would be between 8 and 10 feet. I know Mershant had some questions to discuss. Mershant, do you want to bring any of those up at this time?
Oh, no, just kind of sharing with you in advance of some of the questions. Just your recommendation, sounds like you already had some recommendations on height and color.
Yes, and we will, I know a concern of the planning commission was maintenance. We will have a maintenance plan that's taking care of the trees. We do have a landscape contract, and they perform services all throughout the town, so that would continue with the street trees.
You had already talked about, we're trying to replace the Winter King hawthorns that were planted with the beautification project. You would have the question about, was it all of them or just those that are dead or missing?
Yeah, is it just replacing the ones that have been damaged and removed, or all of them?
It'll be all of them so that we have a uniform look all the way down. And again, we're starting here about right in front of Town Hall. I don't believe there's room for one in front of Washington Street Realty. But if there is, we'll do one on that side, and then of course at the museum side down east.
That was one question I had. Do you have any thoughts on, is there any interest, some of the hawthorn trees in the museum, they're not, would you argue they're street trees or maybe just trees on?
The ones that set a little bit further back.
Yeah.
Kind of on the upper sides of the planters. I would argue that those are street trees, and
Okay.
we would put crepe myrtles.
Okay.
Because I believe there's 2 of them.
And I think there's one, yeah, by the parking lot as well. The one on the parking lot's leaning pretty bad. And then, I guess the intent would be to recommend this type for all street trees that come in with future projects. You and I talked about I keep calling it the Fairgrounds project, but it was the Crossroads Village. Their landscape plan also has crepe myrtles proposed.
It does, yes.
And they would you recommend they do the same Red Rocket?
Yes.
Okay.
We're reviewing their plan right now, and they knew they had to put crepe, well, it was known that we would request crepe myrtles to match with ours. So I will go back with them on the variety.
Mr. Chairman, something else I thought about, I spoke with Dr. Landry. The crepe myrtles they put out front, apparently they're not crepe myrtles. They're a native species that's equivalent to a crepe myrtle. We have the Journey Through Hollow Ground plant palette type. I've not been able to find that online, but was there any interest by the preference one or the other? Crepe myrtle, when I was able to research, and we may have that too, where it's more of an ornamental tree. It's not necessarily a native species. It's present around here. I guess there's a big present of it in Williamsburg. They brought it over initially. So it's a recognized tree. But would there be any interest in wanting to suggest an alternative off a native plant species similar to Journey Through Hollow Ground? Journey Through Hollow Ground is a corridor. So
Native species, a dogwood, and I think it's a state tree also.
Yeah, I guess what we need to determine here is what our intent is. We've been requested to pretty much just kind of narrow our specs down to replacing the tree that we have now with the
Okay.
crepe myrtle. when it comes to ordinances, are you suggesting to try and add to it, or the selection of trees that are available, or try to come up with what we feel would be better to replace these winter kings than the crepe myrtle that has been proposed?
No, if we just, I think that the requested before us is the crepe myrtle approvable or not. But, so, I think, part of the challenge is, Emily just left, is the crepe myrtles are not listed, on the.
In the ordinance.
In the ordinance. But Emily, there is an ability, right, of the ARB and the commission to approve an alternate
Yes.
plant type, so that's what we're being asked to add this, two things. One, approve the replacement of the tree, and then second is approving crepe myrtle as a approved plant type. So, Prince William County does allow both the hawthorns and the crepe myrtles as street trees, so it's not unusual to have that. There's the maintenance question right online, a lot of the maintenance stuff. Did Mr. Our council member, appoint him because he sits over here, Steve. He's, I read this in the meeting, apparently they're really good in wind and drought and a lot of other things, so they tend to have some value.
And VDOT really likes them because they don't create surface roots. So red maples will create a surface root that goes out and breaks up pavement and pushes up bricks, which we have a lot of right along our streets with our sidewalks. So VDOT likes them because it puts down a surface root. So all in all, they're a good species to go with. When we're looking to do something that's not in our ordinance, we have to get the recommendation of all boards, so that's kind of where we're at.
Some other observation I had about it was, I forgot, I was driving through town the other weekend. Everything on the north side of Washington Street is under power line. So it makes sense to do, most of the trees on our plant list are pretty tall
Large.
canopy trees. So if you have one side growing into the power lines and the other side's not, at some point you gotta come back and trim all those trees up. Now you got a lopsided streetscape with half the trees being cut up and half the trees not. So I think there's some benefit to having that.
Crepe myrtles are very, very tenacious when they grow, and what people like them when they put them around the house or any park is that the branches are very, they're not heavy. So if it's to fall, it breaks down, and to fall, you know, it's not gonna harm
Crepe
to death
harm to property or people.
of people.
Only other thing I noticed, looking at the ordinance, talks about providing visual relief and shade. From what I read, it does look like the crepe myrtle does provide, when it's trimmed correctly, will provide shade for people walking along the treescape.
And they'll certainly fit in nicely with those that we already have, in front of a lot of the neighborhoods, Foster's Building, Haymarket Station.
Yeah.
It will be a nice welcoming site with our banners, light poles,
With the sidewalk.
sidewalk.
That's the biggest one, I think, is the sidewalks being pushed up.
Yeah.
So I think with that, with that, not only will it look nicer, but I think maintenance costs for the town itself would go down because we won't have to go around making sure that that's okay and, repairing those, because
Originally, I discussed with Marchant that a red maple could be an option, but after further research and discussion with some VDOT people, it was kind of frowned upon that close to the sidewalk,
Especially the brick sidewalks. Too.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm good. Do we have any more discussion? Okay. Guess we'll put it up for a vote. All in favor of adding this to the ordinance and allowing it to be on the streetscape plan?
Yes?
So we'll, do we need a motion or anything for this, or since it's just,
If you will, let's do a formal motion since we are going to go through the process of getting the planning commission to look at adding it to the approved tree list.
Do you want me to-
anybody want to make a motion?
Yeah, make a
Going off
motion.
the one that's on the,
We can go with that one. Another recommendation that Marchant had, Marchant, will you read your
Sure.
proposed motion changes?
Just to kind of distinguish between the two things we just asked,
Yeah.
I suggested to Emily, would it be worth looking at a different motion? I move the ARB approve crepe myrtle as a substitute canopy ornamental tree to the zoning ordinance required plant list material. I further move the ARB allow crepe myrtle as a substitute street tree species to replace existing street trees along Washington Street.
And that was a true motion?
Yes.
Okay. I got a motion on
second.
and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, let's go vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, we're good. Next application is ZP 2019-004 for Southern Crossing Street, the fence.
So tonight, we're looking at a certificate of appropriateness for a backyard fence to close in Mr. Mackey's yard. This will be matching pre-existing fences in the neighborhood and has received HOA approval. It conforms with our guidelines as well as our zoning ordinance. The applicant is here tonight if you guys have any questions. However, it's fairly straightforward.
Details on the gate.
What's that?
Wondering if there are any details on the gate. I'm assuming
Looks
it's
like there's a
standard
gate.
two, right?
There's a gate. Looks like- goes this way right here.
So, I'm sorry, Emily, did you say it's a white picket?
Yes, it's a white picket, pressure wood, stone, basically. Technical name for it is following. Mount Vernon deep line fine pressure treated wood.
And it's the colonial Gothic style that is in Haymarket Station.
Okay.
It's one of the pictures in the ARB guidelines for styles.
Okay, I don't have any questions. Does anybody else have any questions?
I don't
Seems
have any
pretty straightforward.
question.
Yeah, it is pretty straightforward. Okay. Anybody wants to put up a motion?
Sure. I make a motion to approve a certificate of appropriateness CP 2019-004 for the proposed fence at 14925 Southern Crossing Street.
Motion up. Anybody have a second?
Second.
Quick to the punch. We got a motion and a second. Last chance for discussions. Okay, we'll put it for vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Yep. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
Our next application is ZP 2019-005 for solar panel installation. The applicant is not here tonight for the application. I do believe you guys will have some questions for them. This is not a typical item that is covered in our ARB guidelines, so based on precedence, one solar panel application previously presented to the ARB was denied due to the solar panels being in public view on the front of the home. And then another application was approved with the solar panels being located on the rear of the home. There were no other homes that were behind this one. It backed up to the railroad. So keeping those in mind, are there any questions that you guys have as the board tonight for me? Do you want to table the application until the applicant is present and can better explain and answer any of your questions?
I visited the house, and I myself don't see any problem seeing solar panels.
Okay.
I mean, solar panels, you know, they are symmetrical. So it's not like a chunk here and a chunk there. And at the community where I work, you know, it's over 60 years old, and they have moved. Most of the community has solar panels in the front and in the back. It is an investment, and it's for the benefit of actually the environment. I don't mind at all if it comes down for this to be approved today without the homeowner being here.
Yeah, my comments, this house doesn't really qualify to be considered a historic building in which we need to scrutinize. It sits far enough off of Washington Street that it's not even visible from Washington Street. These panels are on the back of the building away from Washington Street.
And it
We
has
do have local approval
Yeah.
for the homeowners there. So I don't think they have any worries, since this sits in the center of the community, and anybody who was on the backside would be able to see it, even though it might be a little bit difficult for a pedestrian on the sidewalk to catch it through another house or something. So I truly don't see any problem. My only question would be a better picture of the panels, just to make sure that we're guaranteeing that it's the standard panel that I'm assuming would be put on there, to confirm that. That's the only question I would have given them. I mean, that's not really a good enough picture. I don't know if you consider that a
Do a
good
pretty good
enough.
job of,
So that, in combination with page 24,
Yeah, that
I
shows the
think you get a
layout.
really good idea of how they'll be laid out, but I can have them, that looks like a standard.
Do we know that if it's reflective or not? Because a lot of these solar panels can be reflective.
that's what I was wondering, because I was wondering on page 24 where it shows the layout, you have two different type of panel types. I didn't know if that just meant one, like has more of a glare and one has more of a muted.
And also, where would the phase inverter, would that be just where that would be located with regards to the house, I guess? Because we don't want that to just glaringly be somewhere, I guess. Or would that be where the meter is?
Legend.
It looks like that's where the meter,
Well, I'm saying where the meter is located on the
Oh.
outside. Is that where it would sit, or is that just something that would be? I mean, I'm for it. It's just a few questions that I have.
yeah.
Just looking at it.
I did see the legend, but it didn't really, it's
Yeah,
just a
that's-
different type of module, but doesn't really. Emily, what are your thoughts on this?
Just the legend.
Oh, the
With
legend
them
right here.
sitting on the rear of the house, they, aside from driving around I guess that's Green Hill Crossing Drive, if you go down Jockey Club and come back up around Green Hill, maybe in the winter months you would see it, because some of their trees in the backyard allow for viewing up to that back roof part, but otherwise, I don't think it's relatively visible at all from the street. As board member Julia was saying, it's very environmentally friendly. I'm in support of this.
Yep, I
It's,
agree. I think it was just a few questions that I had.
Yeah.
But I'm all for it.
I have no issue with it too. I would agree with both Emily and the chairman that Julie as well. I walked through it. There's some trees that will block it, deciduous trees when they come out. I guess the only question I would have is if we could confirm that the panels will match. I think it's a black roof, just making sure that the panels and the equipment are of a black material to blend with the roof. And then I would agree with the glare. Just is there
Is
any
it
glare
reflective?
issues? Because
Yeah,
that might be potential. That's the only.
that's the only good.
I can have them send me kind of real-life photos of what it would look like, maybe on one they've previously done on a home. And I can, if those are the only two concerns, look at the photo, and if it is,
Yep.
you guys can give a conditional approval tonight, if you're comfortable with that.
That's
Yeah.
over
I am.
I am. Let's move on.
Okay, so we need a motion with a conditional on it.
there. Is there a motion in there?
I think there was.
I didn't see any.
It is on that first page
Page
of
19.
19.
Page 19.
19.
I make a motion to approve certificate of appropriateness ZP 2019-005 for the installation of 27 solar panels on the roof of 6900 Jockey Club Lane, subject to verification by the zoning administrator that the panels are of a similar color and compatibility with the existing roof.
And no reflective.
And no ref- and-
disturbances, or?
And subject to verifying no reflective surfaces on the panels
Okay.
To the neighborhood, to the neighbors.
from the adjacent neighbors.
To the neighbors.
Glare
To
onto.
glare onto the neighbors, yeah.
Onto
To the
neighbors,
neighbors,
okay.
yeah.
Because if there's glare and it goes up, then it doesn't really matter.
Is that enough for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Seconded.
Okay.
Okay, I got a motion and second. I'm sure all clarifications for you can be understandable in the minutes, right? Okay.
Yes.
So we'll put it up for vote then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're good?
Only other new business item that's not on here, I noticed our next meeting falls within Prince William County spring break, and I didn't know if anyone would be out of the area on vacation with children or with any upcoming
Either.
holidays. So would you guys like to move our meeting from, I think it's the 17th or 18th, to the 24th of April? It's the Wednesday, a week later, at 7 PM as well.
24th of April.
Should be okay.
Blue pen.
I'm clear that day.
Unclear.
Chairman?
I should be good.
Okay. I will go ahead and change that on our schedule. If anything comes up and we need to change it differently, just let me know. Okay.
Okay. Any old business?
No, still working along on the typical projects, Crossroads, a couple other smaller site plans, but nothing yet for the Marias Vineyard, or there was another one I was telling you guys about. So just the usual.
How are the signs coming along?
The signs are coming along well. I'm going to reach back out to Fraser and Associates and see with what we came up with, what their recommendation would be, as well as getting another kind of third party to get involved and give us their ideas and design, someone locally with just a typical sign company.
Any movement across the street?
Yes, across the street, so on April 20th is the projected demolition day. And with that, someone from one of the universities locally will be coming up on April 4th to do measurements and look at the buildings. When he comes back through the area that following weekend, he will take additional photos and documentation so that at a later date, as we discussed, the architectural descriptions can be written in greater detail based on those images. But on April 20th is the projected start date.
So
They're all coming down, right?
All except the back white one in the corner known as the Gossam House.
It's probably a delicate thing to ask, but there's windows broken on that house. Do you know if there's any willingness by Mr. Smith to try to get that boarded up?
I can reach out and ask him.
What, tell them to tear one off of the corner house,
Good.
right? Gotham House.
Yeah, that's the only thing I noticed this. I did notice the firehouse, they went ahead and secured the property.
They have, yes, and they've had a little bit more stirring around on the property with some people that are interested, so I'm fielding some questions there, so hopefully soon we'll hear something more.
Should we organize some sort of event on the 20th to watch everything come down?
Gather on the front lawn.
There's a lot of people that'll be excited about
Yeah,
that, I'm sure.
cheer them on.
I'm glad he agreed to go ahead and fulfill that, so.
Yeah, I have a question or a thought. That Gotham House do have water on the basement, about 4 to 5 inches, and that will degrade more the house itself and create some health and
Mold and issues like that.
yes, respiratory. So whenever or whoever enters the house will have to wear something. There is nothing from the, no concern from the owner that he will like empty the water there or have like it, no.
No. I think at this point he'll board them up, but I don't think he'll be going in and pumping any of the water out.
Yeah, I think the biggest threat on that house that's going to stay up is the vegetation around it. I'm assuming that'll be cleared out, right, when the property's all leveled?
It depends. He's going to take down the structures, but as for taking the vegetation off the house, it's tough to say if he's going to do it.
Yeah, because that's the only true thing that will start damaging it the fastest.
I guess if he's open to it, Emily, would you mind asking him if he secures the 2 windows, if he would also consider, while his equipment's out there, if they will have someone at least cut them, or at least trim it back?
I will.
Always ask, right?
Yep, never hurts to ask.
You're fine, Nick.
Okay, any more old business, or? Okay, we'll move on to Planning Commission update.
I wasn't there for the last one because of a medical issue, so I'm going to defer to Emily.
So, let's see, Monday night we had our planning commission meeting. We discussed the street trees, the playground. We're looking at moving it from the front of the park back up towards where the old house used to sit. It'll be a safer location for the children. And that was about, we also discussed the CIP draft, and they have made a recommendation to send it up to the town council. In that was our gateway signs, as well as the potential historic marker that was previously held in the CIP, and would also include some general maintenance of some beautification projects along Washington Street.
The street scape, does it cover all the way up to the Pee Wee baseball field?
So that piece of property is QBE, and the property owner there has an approved site plan that will finish off his section for
All the
putting
way to the corner?
for putting in the brick sidewalks there. And then our park plan will connect from Haymarket Baptist, where it's missing, all the way in front of the park up to the corner around Blight. The Blight Homes gave proffer money for that corner ramp to be installed there. So, project's down the road, but it'll get there.
Was there a projected date on the playground?
We are finalizing some details, but we are hoping this summer. We would like to spend our park money this year and go ahead and get it done. So that was all for the Planning Commission update. Since Councilwoman Cavazos isn't here, Town Council, it's been a while, bear with me. We discussed the street trees and the playground. And that's about it on my part. She'll have to give a better update next month.
Fine. Any further questions? Okay, then we'll move to last agenda item, adjournment.
Make a motion
I
to
make
adjourn?
a motion to adjourn.
Got a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are out at 7:36.
Shelley's gonna be sad she missed it.
Yeah, the first one.
Does your pen work?